Your high income might be the very thing stopping you from building wealth. The fix starts with a simple shift in focus from one financial document to another. A change I'll show you in the first section. It's a paradox that traps the most successful people. Think of the doctor, the lawyer, the senior tech manager, have the six-figure salary, the respectable address, and the car that signals success. Yet, their net worth is stagnant. Let's take that doctor. After a decade of grueling training and accumulating massive student debt, she finally lands the high-paying job. The relief is immense. So what happens? The catch-up phase begins. The mortgage on the house in the right school district, the 2-car leases, the private school tuition that feels non-negotiable. Each decision makes perfect sense in isolation. She's earned it. They're running faster and faster on a treadmill, earning more only to spend more, never actually getting ahead. This isn't a personal failure. It's a systemic trap with a name, Henry, which stands for high earner, not rich yet. A 2024 Fast Company report identified this growing group of professionals, some earning between $375,000 and $750,000 annually, who don't consider themselves wealthy. Why? Now you might be thinking, with that kind of salary there has to be plenty left over. But the math tells a different story. That high income pushes them into the highest tax brackets, immediately slicing off 40% or more. Suddenly, a $500,000 salary is really $300,000 in your bank account. That's $25,000 a month. After the $8,000 mortgage, the $4,000 in tuition, and the $2,000 in car payments, more than half the money is gone before they've even bought groceries. Their high income is matched by high expenses, low savings, and a focus on maintaining a lifestyle, not building a fortune. If this Henry trap sounds familiar, maybe you've seen it happen to friends or even felt it yourself, let me know with a simple yes in the comments. They're trapped by a single flawed belief that more income will solve their problems. But wealth isn't built by simply increasing the top line. It's built by understanding how rich people think and changing your entire operating system to match. It starts with a single shift in focus. The Henry is trapped because they're obsessed with the wrong financial document, and fixing that is the first step that separates the wealthy from the high earners. And in the action plan at the end, I'll give you a single question to ask before your next $100 purchase that will completely rewire this broken thinking. The Henry is trapped because they are obsessed with the wrong financial document, and fixing that is the first mental shift that separates the wealthy from the high earners. The wrong financial document isn't their budget or their spending app. It's their income statement. High earners are conditioned to obsess over the flow of money, how much comes in each month. But wealth isn't a measure of flow, it's a measure of accumulation. This is the first mental model. Think in balance sheets, not income statements. Your income statement is temporary. It's a monthly report card that resets to zero every 30 days. Your balance sheet, on the other hand, is permanent. It's the true scorecard of your financial life. It's a simple equation. What you own minus what you owe. That final number, your net worth, is the only number that truly matters for building wealth. Let's make this tangible. Two colleagues get a $5,000 raise. The Henry uses it to upgrade their car lease, adding a liability to their balance sheet. The future millionaire buys an asset, like an index fund, which is just a low-cost way to own a small piece of many successful companies at once, permanently increasing their net worth. One focused on lifestyle, the other on their balance sheet. What's one asset you bought recently, big or small, that added to your balance sheet? Share it below to give others ideas. This isn't just a hypothetical story, it's the central finding from the foundational research in The Millionaire Next Door. The authors, Thomas Stanley and William Danko, discovered that true wealth is almost always the result of behavior, not income. The millionaires they studied were obsessed with their net worth. They tracked it, they managed it, and every major financial decision was filtered through a single question: will this increase my net worth? The single most important tool for this mental shift is a net worth tracker. It moves your focus from the temporary drama of monthly cash flow to the permanent reality of what you own. It makes the consequences of your decisions visible in real time. To make this practical, I've built a simple net worth tracker and decision journal template you can copy and use in Google Sheets. It's the exact format I use to track my own balance sheet. The link is in the description. It's completely free. Now you might be thinking, okay, I need to buy assets. But what are the best assets to buy? That's the right question, but it's one step ahead. Focusing on your balance sheet is only half the equation. The next shift is about how you generate the money to acquire those assets in the first place. And this is where the data reveals a shocking gap between employees and everyone else. What creates that shocking gap between employees and everyone else? It comes down to the second mental model. Shift from renting time to owning equity. For most high-income professionals, their career is their primary asset. The path to wealth seems clear. Climb the corporate ladder for a higher salary. But a salary, no matter how high, is you renting your single most valuable and finite asset, your time, to someone else. The person who owns the business, the system, and the intellectual property is the one who captures the real upside. They own the equity. This is the core of how rich people think about their time and effort. Visualize two paths. Path A is a ladder. It's linear, it's predictable, and it feels safe. Each step up is a promotion, a small raise, a better title. A ladder, by its very nature, has a ceiling. Your income is capped by the value your role provides to the organization. Path B is a seed. It starts small, often with no visible progress. It requires nurturing, patience, and there are no guarantees. But a seed, if it takes root, doesn't grow linearly. It grows exponentially, and its potential has no ceiling. This is the path of owning equity. In a business, in real estate, in a portfolio of assets. Now this might sound like a philosophical preference. It isn't. It's a mathematical reality. A 2021 study from the Small Business Administration delivered a finding that should stop every high-earning employee in their tracks. They found that the median net worth for self-employed families was $380,000. For families of workers, it was just $90,000. That's not a small difference. The owners are, on average, over 4 times wealthier than the renters. Which path feels more appealing to you right now? The predictable ladder or the exponential seed? Comment ladder or seed below. Now, conventional wisdom says the safest way to build wealth is to max out your 401k. And while that's not bad advice, it's incomplete. Your 401k is teaching you to be an excellent employee, to trade your time for 40 years. It's a wealth-building tool, but it reinforces the renter mindset. The truly wealthy don't just have a 401k, they own the companies inside the 401k. The shift from renter to owner is a long-term project. If these kinds of deep dives into wealth psychology help you think more clearly, for that journey, take a second to subscribe. We publish a new investigation like this every week. The natural tension here is the thought, but starting a business is risky and I have a demanding job. That's a valid concern, but it mistakes the tactic for the strategy. The mindset of ownership comes first. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job tomorrow. It means you start seeing the world through the lens of equity. It can start with buying a single share of a company instead of its product. It can be owning one small rental property. It can be starting a tiny side project that solves a problem for 10 people. The goal is to begin the shift from renting 100% of your time to owning a small growing piece of equity. Once you're focused on your balance sheet and obsessed with ownership, there's one final mental shift. It's about how you view money itself. Is it a shield for protection or a tool for creation? This leads to our third and final mental model. Shift from a scarcity mindset to one of calculated risk. This isn't about reckless gambling. It's about the quiet understanding that in a world with inflation, saving alone is a guaranteed way to lose purchasing power over time. Playing it safe is often the riskiest move of all. Wealth isn't built by hoarding cash. It's built by intelligently deploying capital. The data supports this. A 2024 study by Northwestern Mutual found that 79% of American millionaires are self-made. This implies they didn't just inherit or save their way to wealth. They built something, invested in something, and took calculated risks to turn their capital into more capital. Let's make this concrete. Imagine 2 colleagues at the same company. They each receive an unexpected $10,000 bonus. The first colleague operates from a scarcity mindset. Their primary emotion around money is fear, specifically fear of debt. They immediately use the $10,000 to pay off their 4% car loan. It feels responsible. They've eliminated a payment and will save $400 a year in interest. Over 5 years, they're $2,000 richer than they would have been. Colleague B operates from an abundance mindset. They see the $10,000 not as a way to plug a hole, but as seed capital. They see it as a tool. Instead of paying down a low-interest loan, they deploy it. Perhaps they invest it in a high-conviction index fund. Let's run the numbers. At a conservative historical average, that $10,000 could be worth over $16,000 in 5 years. Colleague A protected their money and saved $2,000. Colleague B deployed their money and made over $6,000. This is the fundamental shift. From thinking, money is for security and should be protected, to money is a tool for generating more money and should be deployed. It's the difference between playing defense and playing offense. Now, this all makes sense on paper, but it can feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, how do I actually start changing my day-to-day thinking to reflect this? These 3 mental models, thinking in balance sheets, shifting from renting to ownership, and treating capital as a tool, are the operating system for wealth. Now let's install that system with a simple 3-step plan you can start tonight. First, perform the owner versus renter audit. Take out a piece of paper and list 5 things you currently rent. This could be your time, rented to an employer for a salary. It could be a subscription to a streaming service. It could be your apartment or a car lease. Next to each one, brainstorm just one way you could move toward ownership in that category. Instead of only renting your time, you could start a small side project where you own the equity. Instead of renting all your entertainment, you could buy a single share of the company that provides it. The point isn't to change everything overnight. It's to commit to one small change. Choose one area and take a concrete step toward ownership in the next month. Second, reframe your next $100 decision. The next time you're about to make a non-essential purchase of around that amount, pause and ask yourself one question. Does this purchase add to my asset column or my liability column? An asset has the potential to grow in value or generate income. A liability will cost you more money over time. This isn't about never buying things you enjoy. It's about making a conscious choice between consumption and investment, and being intentional with your capital. Try this for just one purchase this week and comment with the one word that describes how it felt: easy, hard, or eye-opening. Third, start a decision journal for 1 week. Use a simple notebook or a new digital document. For every financial decision you make over the next 7 days, from buying coffee to investing, write down the decision itself, the primary emotion you were feeling at the time, and the mental model you used. Were you thinking, I deserve this, or this will grow over time? At the end of the week, review your entries. You'll see patterns in how your emotions drive your financial behavior. This is the first step to rewiring your decision-making process and installing the mental models of how rich people think. Remember the high-income trap we started with? It's not a trap of money, it's a trap of thinking. By changing your thinking first, your financial reality will follow. If you're ready to continue this journey, subscribe to Wealth Psychology for our next deep dive.